Hey everyone, it's Friday morning, January 30th, and welcome back to Capital Markets Quickie. I'm your host, Endrit Sella, here to break down yesterday's market action in just 2 minutes. Quick note before we dive in. Today's episode is brought to you by AMF Capital Asset Management Frankfurt. Learn more about our funds and strategies at amf-capital.de. Alright, let's get started. So yesterday was one of those days where tech stocks really set the tone. US markets closed mostly lower, but they did recover from an even steeper sell-off earlier in the session. And the big concern? Artificial intelligence spending. The Nasdaq Composite led the losses, dropping about 0.7%. The Standard & Poor's 500 slipped around 0.2%, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average actually managed to turn slightly positive, and the main story here was Microsoft. Shares dropped more than 10% after the company reported higher than expected spending on data centers and weaker growth in its cloud business. Investors didn't love that, and it pulled the whole tech sector lower. Now, Meta was kind of the opposite story. Its shares jumped more than 10% after the company gave a surprisingly strong revenue outlook. Meta also said it could spend up to $135 billion on data centers this year as it pushes harder into artificial intelligence. Tesla, meanwhile, had a rough day. The stock fell more than 3%, even though earnings beat expectations. Investors focused more on the company's shift toward robotics and the fact that Tesla reported its first-ever annual revenue decline. Outside of tech, geopolitics also played a role. Tensions between the United States and Iran increased after President Trump warned about possible military action if there is no nuclear deal. Oil prices moved higher, with Brent crude climbing above $70 per barrel. Markets are also still processing the Federal Reserve's latest decision. The Fed kept interest rates unchanged. Right now, traders are expecting 2 small rate cuts by the end of the year, but experts say those cuts might not come before Jerome Powell leaves office in May. At the same time, investors are watching closely for Trump's pick for the next Fed chair. Now let's quickly run through some earnings headlines. Visa reported first-quarter revenue growth of about 15%. MasterCard also delivered strong numbers, with revenue, profits, and earnings all rising sharply. The company said consumer and business spending remains healthy, and its stock moved higher in early trading. On the other hand, SAP had a tough day. Shares dropped nearly 12% after the company missed expectations on its cloud backlog, raising fresh concerns about its growth outlook. So overall, yesterday was all about tech spending, artificial intelligence, and big earnings reactions, mixed with a little geopolitics and central bank uncertainty. Alright, that wraps up today's Capital Markets Quickie. Join me again tomorrow morning for more market updates. See you then.